now for the third singles matchup, you can see Bernadette Soch from Romania versus Isabel Lee from Singapore. Isabel Lee is world ranked number 159 and Bernadette Soch 59. So Bernadette right here, definitely the strong favorite. She is a fighter and a screamer, checking the paddle. She's a very bold personality, not too shy, as you'll shortly find out if you've never heard her play before.
Let's turn down the monitor here a bit. I know what you're talking about, and for sure we'll be hearing it shortly. Yeah, you're right. 100 points in the world ranking separating these two. They're the same age. We see here, Jun Lee, world ranked 159, 19 years old as well as her opponent. Bernadette Soch, among Petrissa Solja, maybe the two best youngsters in Europe. Always been placing runner-up or winning tournaments, always meeting in the finals. And Bernadette Soch has played a great World Championship. Let's see if she can continue. The pressure is on her, as we've seen so many times here in this team format, that the third game really is the key game to the overall match. She's faced with elimination from the tournament bracket if she loses, Bernadette Soch.
Very unusual first 3 points. We're used to seeing a lot of patience against a chopper, and from pushes to just missing the first opening ball, these 3 points have gone very, very quickly. And again, you know, right after the first point, we saw Soch swinging her arm as if she was trying to stay loose, something you see more in the later parts of the game, rarely after the first point.
So many different approaches to facing a defensive player. One of them is just overpower them with relentless attacks, and that is the avenue that Bernadette Soch will trying to pursue here. Just really going for all-out attack. Her counterpart we've seen yesterday, actually, Petrissa Solja against Belarusian defender.
And what a forehand attack. If a defender can do that with their forehand, it really puts a lot of pressure on the offensive player to make sure that they keep the ball low, and if they're pushing back to bring the player in, that the ball's short and low, because you do not want to have to face that forehand.
I wonder what's going on with Bernadette Soch. She's just not hitting the ball.
Yeah, it seems very uncharacteristic.
Don't advise. 3 players. Don't yes. No? Yeah.
This is a lineup here. The facial reaction, I love it. We've pinned the guilty one.
Says it all. Found the scapegoat here. Elisabetta Samara. Don't coach during game time. Yellow card.
I think that was the funniest yellow card I've ever seen.
Does that affect her at all? That was well done.
I mean,
absolutely.
She gave up after 3. The first 3 shots were outstanding, and the last shot was just like, forget this. If you're going to keep bringing it back, look, it's just standing up straight, way too high. It was a decision to lob is what it looked like.
But first of all, she was surprised to come back to the table anyway. And then she was not comfortable with the high bounce. And that's the first real point of Bernadette Soch. And to be honest, the first game's almost over. Whoa, that was close.
These forehands, they look like give-up shots, just flat hits, but she made them one after another. And as far as surprise goes, when the ball comes back and you're playing a defensive player, you have to be expecting it. That's their job, to bring it back.
Yeah, there's just no way this is going to work. Sometimes when you're playing a defensive player, you have these high bounce, you feel the instinctive need to smash, but there's just so much backspin on there.
And And Soch showing her power, but a little bit of patience and shot selection will probably do her very well coming into the next game. She's now down 4-10, 6 game points against her. Lee with the serve. Great
No
angle.
questions asked. Fantastic performance of Isabelle Lee. Much better than we've seen her yesterday, actually. Wins the first game 11-4. That's 1-0 for Singapore.
不要着急，有绝对机会的话，不好的话，我都控制起来。然后他就是戳戳拉拉，一看。 加转的话，以为他下网，千万没有，你一加转的还在准备后面球，他反而有的时候下面的，远远做准备啊，打得非常好啊。
Second game, Singapore to serve, level.
And Lee's going to serve. The underdog ranked world 159 is up 1-0 in games. Beautiful forehand, fast feet, step around, no hesitation to take the attack when it's there. Soch still having a lot of trouble on the receive.
I like this serve, by the way. High toss backhand serve we've seen from many defensive players in the women's. So-Yeon from Korea, North Korean counterpart, and now Isabelle Lee. Good job on varying the spin by lifting the racket upwards after just before the touch, actually.
Looked like that ball was heavy, heavy topspin. Lee thought it was. Not enough to carry it back over the net. And again, that impatience. Yeah, it's a little high, but it's loaded with backspin and it's deep on the table. There's no pressure to win the point outright against the defender.
Exactly. You have to find the right balance between pressuring the defending player and overdoing it.
You have to wonder what they talked about on the timeout, because these are the same shots we've seen. And there's the coach with an eye roll. His facial expression says a lot. And Lee just on fire right now, attacking every ball that gets up, staying in at the table after her serve. You can't guess what she's going to do next. Good service from Soch.
Just goes to show you, it's so easy being the underdog for Berbernadette Soch. She was the star yesterday in the match against Korea, winning the final point for her team. And this is a different day here. She had a night's sleep, some time to reflect on her performance. And right now she's expected to win. And we can see right away that this role does not fit her at all.
Well, we're starting to hear some of the screams we talked about, but they're still fairly subtle compared to what we've heard yesterday and throughout the tournament. So maybe this is her warming up her fire.
She will have to start reading the opponent's serve better, because there was a botched serve receive once again. Lucky for Berbernadette Soch that Isabelle Lee was not pouncing on it.
We were talking about Lee's experience and play in this tournament so far, and right now we are both very impressed with how much versatility she's bringing to this game. Nice block by Soch to bring it back on the table and force the defender to attack again. Although so far I think that's the first forehand miss we've seen with the attack from Lee. Hasn't worked the past 10 times. Let's try it a few more and see what happens.
The scientific approach, I wonder if this happens every time.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
much more like it.
Absolutely, much better, patient play. You could see her willing to push 4, 5, 6 shots in a row, selecting the balls to attack, not just slapping at it, but spinning it. That's the type of play the coach wants to see out of Soch. Very patient, great strategy. You could even see a few times when Lee was expecting a deep shot, and Soch brought her right back in for another push. It's now a 2-point game. Lee serving 7-5. Let service. There's some screaming. The voice crack and the scream together means she's playing well. Very happy with herself for that. Nice patience.
Timeout from the Singapore coach.
And a good timeout because Bernadette's really showing that she's willing to change her game. And she is the more experienced player. She is the higher ranked player. So you always know in the back of your head when you're the underdog by a lot and you've got the lead that it might be a ticking clock.
What a coach might be telling her is that after the serve, which is still pretty good and still confusing Bernadette Soch, Isabelle Lee needs to be a bit more aggressive because all of these serves received, she could attack if she wanted to.
Absolutely, I think you're dead on with that assessment. We saw a few early on, backhand high toss serves where Lee turns around with the forehand attack playing the angles. The stadium's going crazy just on the other court. Germany very, very close, and it's deuce in the 5th. Ivanchan. But back on our table, Soch is making her comeback. 1-point lead for Isabelle Lee from Singapore. All right, making us look like honest people. Soch playing well and screaming. We didn't see the attack from Lee. Third ball turned right into the defense.
Tomahawk serve. Haven't seen that of Bernadette Soch. I don't know about the chop with the backhand from the forehand corner, to be honest. As I see it, Isabelle Lee still way too passive here.
That's 3 chops in a row that have gone into the net. We saw Lee standing up a bit straight, looking a bit passive. The timeout was called. You have to wonder what was said over there because we haven't seen anything that seems like a better plan than what Lee had before just yet. There it is. That's what we've been talking about, what we expected to see. Maybe a little bit late in the game after the timeout, but better late than never. It's a very strong forehand attack. You can see Soch just trying to block it back, stay in the point. Very short ball, too high to the net, but the reach of Lee not able to get to the ball. Now Soch has 2 game points to tie things up at 1 game apiece. It was high, it looked juicy, looked like something she could just crush, but you have to remember that the first game and a half, that hadn't been working for you. Oh no, we've seen it right off the bat. That's the 4th chop that's gone short since the timeout. And 11-9, Soch takes it in a very tight second game. It is tied up at 1 game apiece.
Deci așa ai făcut punctele de la 7, nu știu. După aia ai început și ai dat așa. Bun, de la atunci așa. Dar important e să nu ajungă să iasă. Deci,
Game 3 about to start. Umpire warning players to make sure they come back when time is called. We've seen a lot of people trying to get a few extra seconds on the coaching.
And this is clever. It may look a bit weird here from the technical point of view from Bernadette Zotsch, but still this is clever. The way she's just lifting it, and when there's not much topspin on it, it's difficult to chop back for the defender.
And that's 2 points in a row that flat hit on the high balls actually worked for her. Was not a successful shot earlier in the match, but she gets the 2 first points with it. And the attack of Lee being a very powerful addition to the defensive game. She's getting a little extra spin. You can see on her follow through, she sort of brings the racket head back down near her left shoulder, making it a bit tough to read for Isabelle Lee. This isn't the same play we've seen from Lee in the first 2 games.
Absolutely not, no. It did happen. Bernadette Zotsch has woken up here.
A lot of conversation with the umpire.
In this overall match, to be honest.
Yeah. And there it is again. She's doing that thing with the racket. Sometimes she goes straight up, a traditional loop off a chop, but she's sort of pulling it back down. Can't tell if it's a little bit of extra side spin on it, if it's just some top spin, but it's making it real tough for Lee to receive. Want to make sure the left shoe is tied tight, definitely, when you're playing at this level.
Yeah, and do it as slow as possible, too.
Right, no, that's important. Not because it gives, oh, the right shoe, too. Yeah, got to untie it and then tie it. This is almost a shoelace timeout, really. Really good opportunity for Lee to think. Wouldn't be surprised if there's another conversation with the umpire. Double knot. That was very questionable on the shoe tie.
Doing everything necessary in order to win. Isabelle Lee 1-5 from her perspective. Wow.
Amazing attack game. And honestly, an impressive showing of patience from Zotsch to not run in and try to finish the point off after that drop shot. Little chop, she comes running in, but still playing patient, forcing Lee to attack again. And 3 attacks in a row wins the point for Lee.
But the chop itself shows a problem here in the mindset of Isabelle Lee. There was high bouncing on the forehand. She chopped it back with the backhand. This is the default move, the fallback decision for a defensive player, but this is not the right decision most of the time in this match.
Great power, the flat hit again. Starting to work for Zotsch. She's had 3 points with it so far in this game. It was looking like the shoe tie might have made the difference for a while, but Zotsch putting a point on the board, extending the lead again to 3 points.
Nope.
4-6.
Nice light chop there by Lee. Zotsch thought there was more on it than there was. It was an interesting serve from Zotsch, the tomahawk side, but with topspin sort of deep onto the table on the backhand side. Well, you know what? It had been working for her this game so far. They look easy when they're high, but that's what defenders are all about. Varying their spin, loading it with spin.
Oh, it's also a bit late there on the timing from Bernadette Zotsch.
That's right. And this game has turned around quite a bit.
Yes, it has. And a crucial stage 2 here in this 3rd game. 6-all. Super slow-mo.
Love this shot. You can see a little bit of top spin there, but the axis of rotation very subtle, tough to read. We don't see a lot of backhand loops against chops. Usually the player runs around to the forehand side. It's going to be uncomfortable for most players. Soch has now lost her lead, was up 5-2 and is now down 6-7. The attack wide to the forehand so far has not been wide enough as they've both been blocked back. And then when Lee tries to go to the backhand corner, a little bit of pressure for the shorter shot. Not able to convert the forehand attack. Still tied up at 7-all in game 3. Tied up in games and in points. Heard a little bit of warning, asking the players to play, the umpire. Now that's an unusual combo.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen a serve like that from the forehand side pendulum, waiting for the attack. Ironically, you'd think it'd set her up for the backhand as the rest of her table's a backhand. Maybe a high toss. Off the top of the net and just off the table. Lee fighting to stay in this. Tied up again at 8-all. Nice comeback going in the beginning after the shoe tie.
Working with the heavy spin she produced from the serve and conserved it throughout the rally. It's the forehand chop though that's posing a huge problem to her own game, Isabelle Lee. Not a good technique on there, and once there's just not much spin on there to begin with from Bernadette Soch, so what's there to chop back?
Unbelievable. Impressive receive there. The retrieval of the ball deep to the backhand and high, floats back onto the table and curving, but Soch was right there, steps in and just smacks it so wide to the forehand. That ball has no chance of return. Nice combination of words there.
Yep.
Good 3-hit combo. Fought
No
off
spin
one.
serve, float serve, very clever decision from Isabelle Lee. One more time, maybe the short topspin serve and then go for the swing on the forehand topspin. That's what I would do if I was 19 years old and from Singapore. Again, the forehand chop. It does not work for Isabelle Lee at all. And it's 12-10, 11-9 actually. 2 games in a row for Bernadette Soch. She's up 2-1.
Așa? Păi și atunci de ce dai serviciu exact invers afară, returul de serviciu? Când ia servit cu reverul la 10-8, așa că e pus acolo. La 10-8. Deci caută dacă servește cu reverul, retururile le faci la rever. Că top, fiindcă orice, dacă faci asta. Dacă faci asta, altă trebuie fără. Joacă cu scurt și cu 2 top pinuri la forehand, mai scurt, mai aproape.
Yes. First match, first game.
So after a very exciting roller coaster of a game 3, Soch pulls it out and is up 2-1 to start off the 4th. We got the serve on Lee's side from Singapore.
Backhand
Heavy.
chop, very effective, heavy backspin as you said.
Again. That's a little bit odd. The forehand chop has not been the most effective shot for Lee so far, especially in the last game.
Nope, that was not the ball to attack on.
Don't want to start a counter looping rally when you're 2 steps behind the table as a defender. If it's high and you're moved in, that's a good time. Very odd shot selection, trying to block it back almost the same as starting a counter loop rally, giving a very comfortable shot to Soch even if she makes it.
Very clearly to see here what both players still have to be working on in the future. For Isabelle Lee, for sure, this is the whole forehand side in her repertoire. This shot is okay, but she's doing so many mistakes on it, and the quality of the shot is just not good at all. She should go for the lift once in a while, lift the topspin back to the table.
And that's the first backhand that we've seen get over the net. Some nice forehands there, but not enough. And Soch showing some strong defense, some lobs deep on the table, forcing Lee to be attacking with that forehand.
I have to say, after the first game here, it is all going downhill for Isabelle Lee. It even looked relaxed on Bernadette Soch, was arcing it around, giving a bit of side spin as well.
Looked pretty comfortable, just tried to place the last ball to the middle and it was too short. Not sure what that means, but some vocalization, frustration from Soch. Patient play has been successful more than almost anything. There's been a good balance of what's working and what's not for Soch. But that strategy is she brings the racket head down again and loading it with spin, waiting on the ball, playing patient. Very strong decision. It's a 2-point lead for Soch. Lee serving 3-5. And the backhand attack, we have not seen that. She stayed with the inverted. Up flipped. Oh no, it was the pips. She twiddled right after the serve as usual and hit it with the pips. The ball was high enough, she felt comfortable to do it.